Today we discussed about local storage. Now that is different. It is, give me 2 seconds. So yesterday we have seen how to add the local storage. Now we will see how to retrieve the data using the data pages.
Okay.
Already we have two types of data pages, like lookup data page and list data page we have seen. So we'll discuss them thoroughly. So before that, let's see how to get the data, and then I will walk through the data pages. So in the second step, so here we need to collect the product information. So to help the CSR, we need to display all these parent categories one drop down, and then to display subcategories, and then to display products. So to help the CSR, we need to design the screen like that. So let me configure the form. So I mean, if you want to build a complex UI, you cannot build from using the case designer. So case designer is helpful only up to some extent, but if you want to build a complex design where we can use database as a source, we cannot build that. So you need to do that one. So let's open the process. We want to do manually, so you need to create all the rules. The first thing is you need to create a flow action. So flow action is nothing but whatever the shape is coming out from the connector is called flow action. So this is the flow action. So this is not there. Open it. So click this plus symbol. Automatically a new form will be open. It's there already. Okay, that's fine. section is also there. I think for some other purpose we created. Okay, so let's remove this. Now to display, let's say I want to drop down. First I need to drag the controls, drop down. I'm dragging 3 controls one by one. The first thing is parent category. So I want to create one more property called parent category. So in this property I want to store the parent category name. This is not there. Let's create it. So text only, create and close. So here I want to change the label. Choose the category type. And then here you can see list source. So earlier we have seen for the drop down we have seen as defined as a property. We defined some values on the property and then automatically those values came. But here we want to take the source. Already source is available. We have some sample data. To retrieve the data also some rules are created. Those rules are called data pages. So here you can also give data page as a source. So you can give the data page and then what is the data page name? D underscore parent category. So because this is a list, right? So you can remember drop down, radio buttons and autocomplete are the list source control, list controls. So for list controls we need to give list data pages. So here also we need to give, so whatever displaying in this all are list database only. So all database will be displayed. You need to select the list database. So here you can see D underscore parent category list. Let's select that one. And then you need to give PYID is nothing but a parent ID, product category ID. This is a, I want to display label but I want to store the ID. So I am using property for value is category ID, property for display text. I mean what user can see is a display text is a label or a name of the category. So we stored the name of the category in the py label property. That is why we are using it. So and then submit. So category type is done. Now this is a subcategory. This property is also now I want to store in some property subcategory. Let's create it. This is also text property. Let's create and close it. So I want to store subcategory ID in this property. So here I'm changing the label to subcategory. Here also I have data page for the list of data page. D underscore product detail about category list. Also same thing, PYID, PY label, submit. Here product, this is a product ID. Let's check product. This is also not there. I'll make it product ID. Product ID shows the product. Here also source is database again. So here d underscore product, already we have database to retrieve the product details list. Also same thing again, py id, then py label. So now if you run the case, now let's see what is the behavior. Let's run the case. Let's run it. This is fine. So now you can see I'm getting only parent category names like electronics and appliances, generators and motors, pumps. Those are the parent category types. These are the subcategories. But if you see here, all are coming again. So whatever you can see, electronics appliances is coming, pumps are coming. So but all categories are coming. But what we need to do basically, I want to see if I select electronics and appliances, I need to see only electronics and appliances because those are the subcategories. If I select AC motors, I need to see AC motors and DC motors. I should not see other things. And how can I do that? So that means that I need to pass this parent category ID to the subcategory source as a parameter so that I can filter that. So whatever I am selecting here, so otherwise this database cannot know that what is the category selected. So we need to pass this parent category as a parameter to the below data pages as a parameters. Then automatically this will be refreshed. So this is called cascading. The concept is called cascading. Passing the parameter from top level database to top level field to sub level database is called cascading. So with the cascading feature we can implement that. So how can we do that? So what I am saying, I need to pass this as a parameter to this data page. That means that indicates that I need to create a parameter in this data page. So what is the data page name? So you need to go there and I need to modify the logic there. So this is a product category. So here for the subcategory I used category list as a source. So I need to open that. This is the one. Here I need to create the parameters. So here I will case tag parent category. This is a string. So but database, whatever the data we are passing here, the actual source is coming from some other role. So I need to do here it as well. So that it will go to the parameter should go to the source. So here also I'm creating the same parameter. Just copy paste. Here filter based on that. In the data pages, so while calling the report definition I need to pass the parameter. So I will I'll explain this clearly later. So I'm passing the parameter page, save it. And then in the same way, whatever the, so here if you see all the products are coming again. All the products are coming again. That means that this is not filtering. So for filtering purpose again, what we need to do? But so for we need to again pass the same thing. So whatever the subcategory you selected, I need to pass that as a parameter to this product list. So let's open this product list data page. Do the same thing here. This you need to pass the subcategory, just category name. Category string. Same thing I need to do it here because that is the actual source. Category, this is a text, and then the filter, because based on the tone I want to filter. Save it. And then here I need to pass the category name. So now you need to configure the section once again. So now see, for the parent category there is no parameter. For the subcategory I defined the parameter. So just refresh it once again. So now parent category is displaying. So what is the parent category? The parent category is storing in one of the property called parent category. So I am passing that value as a parameter to this so that the list will be automatically changed. The same way here also, let's refresh the database to ask for parameter. So category, so category also we are storing in the subcategory property. Just pass that property as a parameter here. ID. But if I want to, so if you see here, I need to pass this value to here. That means that this value should be available in the memory by the time. Should be available in the memory by the time. So where we can see the memory, we have a concept of clipboard. So we will see that one as well. For now, just so if I want to store the data in the memory, so whenever I change the value, I need to refresh the section so that the value, the category names, the main category name will be stored in the memory. So whenever you change the value, I want to store that value in the memory so that the below database can take that value. If the value is not there in the memory, the empty value will go as a parameter. That is why we are refreshing the section so that the value will be stored in the memory, and then that value will be taken as a source, as a source for the database parameter. Now let's do it again. Let's refresh it. Let's do one more. Let me create one more case. Now all our things are there. Let's say generators. If you see, if I select generators, I'm getting you can see only, oh sorry, I think I selected on click, the wrong thing. So because I select on change, click is wrong. So for every click is changing, go for on change. Here also on change, yeah, this is fine. And moreover, let me configure one more thing as well. So let's keep some placeholder so that you will see this button. Select category. here, select subcategory. Here, select product. So first select the category. So I'm selecting motors. To select motors, so I should see only motor related data in the subcategory. So you can see only AC motors, DC motors are coming. If you remember earlier case, everything is coming. Now it is filtering because we are passing this value as a parameter to this. So it is filtering the data page. The actual source is changing. We will see that one anyway. So here selecting AC motors. I select AC motors here. Here I can see only AC motors their products. Here earlier, if you remember, we are getting all the products, but now we are getting only AC product information. If we select DC motors, so only DC motors will come. DC motor. So this is called passing this value, the top level value to the sub level, and to sub level is called cascading. The feature is called cascading. Let's see the definition. If we have cascading definition, it's not there. So cascading is the concept of passing the top level value to the sub level data pages as a parameter. So you can directly go for any level. So here we have 3 levels. We went for 3 levels. Let's say after once you select the products, if you want to see some more drop down based on the products, that also can configure like this. You can go for any level. So this value is passed here, and this value is passed here, and this value you can pass to something else, and that value you can pass to something else. So the chaining you can go for any level. That is called cascading. So now we will see. Anyway, we are discussing that one, but we will see what exactly database is doing. What is the purpose of that one? So before that, let me add the clipboard. So we should discuss this before this topic, but I forgot clipboard. So clipboard is one of the debugging tool. So we call it as initial debugging tool. So what is the main purpose of the clipboard? Clipboard is nothing but a memory. So clipboard, whatever the value is there in the memory, clipboard is a memory container which contains pages and its property value page. Clipboard is a memory container, as the name indicates. So for any technology, when it let's say on the form, on the UI, we're giving some value. So that should be stored somewhere else in the memory. Otherwise, how can the system recognize the value? How can this system display the data? Every time it cannot fetch the data from the database, right? So some internal memory will be there. So obviously for any application, so the data will be stored in that. So let's say in the next screen I want to display the same information in the read-only format. So for that purpose, every time I do not connect to database. That is a huge operation. Nobody will connect to database for each and every information. So that means that somewhere we are storing that information. So here also we are storing the information in the memory, and for the debugging purpose, if you want to see that memory, you can also see that. So let's see, the structure will be like this. The clipboard structure will be like this. This is a clipboard. And then the clipboard, on the top you can see the thread name will be displayed. Thread is nothing but, so every worker will become a thread. So every tab you are opening here is a thread. So in general, for debugging purpose, we will choose only work objects because this is the one we are actually, this is the work for us. So every work object, every work item is a thread here. So if you want to verify, say, I want to verify the C for 465 data, so I need to select 465 in the thread dropdown. If I create one more case, one more ID will be created, right? That is also one more thread. So you have two threads in the 465, 460 through two threads. So if I want to say verify 466 data, I need to open this thread. If I want to verify 465 data, I need to open 465 thread. So you can select the thread and then you will get a list of things here that is called, you can see some pages here. Some pages will be there here. These pages are called top level pages. Whatever you can see on the top level, you can see top level pages. So within the top level page, sometimes you will be having some more pages. So this page is called embedded pages. Embedded pages. Top level page and embedded pages. This is a simple. Now we will see the clipboard structure. What is the, how we can verify. We want to open the thread, clipboard, just on the bottom toolbar you can see clipboard is there, click on that. On the clipboard you can see the structure will be like this. As I said, on the top you can see something is there, clipboard, and then you can see the thread name is displaying here, C465. If you want to change, just change it. Then if you want to select some other thread, select that one, and I can see all the threads are different threads are coming. But we don't verify the rule name. This is the rule names. We don't verify those threads. We'll just verify the actual work object threads. So if you want to verify C466 data, select 466. If you want to verify 465 data, select 465. Okay. Now let me run the case, one more case. Discover this one. Now this is one. So let's say I'm giving some data. So this is like Venkat. BPM, let's say I'm giving test underscore BPM .com 0 let's say address 1, address 2, city, state, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm giving like this. Now when I submit it, somewhere else this data should be stored, right? Somewhere else the data should be stored, obviously. Now where the data is stored? So let's open the clipboard, and you can see I am selecting 466. And now when I enter, you can see 4 categories are there. First we'll discuss these 4 categories. So there are 4 categories. In the first category, user pages, this is the space, this is the place where you can see the actual case data. This is the space where we can see the actual case data. So these are called category names. So system, clipboard is categorized into 4 parts. So to usually navigate and to see the data. So first category is user pages. This is the place where we can see the actual case data. So when you expand it, you can see number of pages is called. When you expand the user pages, whatever the pages are there is called top level pages. Are called top level pages. So then why this many are created? So why this many top level pages are created? The actual case data will be stored in one of the top level pages called py work page. Py work page, you need to remove the page name won't change. Py work page is a top level page where all the case data will be stored. case or whatever, people will call different terminology. Case, work item or work object data will be stored. So, but we are saying only case data will be stored in the PY work page, then where do we need the other pages? So we have a lot of pages here. But these things are required for the Pega to manage. And other than the case data, you can see on the screen a lot of other stuff is there. So this is the case data. Only this part, this is called action area. This is in this space only the case data is displaying. But we have a lot of other things you can see here in the screen. You have some stage information we are maintaining on the top. The bottom also you can maintain some stage information. And we're maintaining some tools, some participants, pulse, open assignments, attachments. So a lot of other things are information, audit. So other than your case data, Pega need to maintain a lot of information to help you in the processing. To help you in the processing, those information will be stored in these top level pages. In the top level pages. So you can see assign just for example, new assign page is there. This will be useful to display this one. Whatever the page, this open assignment is there, this is the name, that is to maintain this data we are using. System Pega is using this page. Like that, each page will be useful here and there in the work processing. But actual case data, actual work item data will be stored in one of the page called PY work page. So our concentration is on our case data, so we are going for PY work page. So as I said, this is called top level page. PY work page is a top level page. So what you can see the class name STM FW FWM work claim. This is the case class name, work class name. You can see the class name is here same. So if you go to App Explorer, you can see work is there and then climb is there. So it's referring our case class only. You can see the class name is in the brackets. You can see page name will be there, and then you can also see the class name in the brackets. So STM FW work climb is there. Now whatever the properties we defined, whatever scalar properties we defined under this class STM FW work climb, you can see here. So here you can see other than your own properties like parent category, product ID, you can also see some other system properties PX, PY, PZ. So PX, Pega, we can call them Pega properties. So it will start with PX or PY or PZ. So if anything, any property starts with PX or PY or PZ, those properties are called Pega properties. What is the meaning of that one? PX means you can read but not write. PY means you can read and write. You can do both. Write means you can update. PZ means you cannot read, you cannot write. You cannot read and cannot write directly. So when I say directly means from the UI you cannot change. In the logic, some here the system will allow some exceptional cases to change the PZ properties. But so in general, PZ properties are not changed. You can see some pages are called PX page properties are there. Some properties are there, PY properties are there. So very rare properties will be there like PZ, which are very required, which are very much important for the only those properties will be displayed here. So those are called Pega properties. Pega internally maintaining a lot of properties to manage the work. Let's say, so you can see some ID is coming. So where the ID is stored, this value is also coming means somewhere this will be stored, right? This information is coming where this also information is stored. So this ID will be stored in one of the property called PYID. You can see that PX INS name is there, in the PYID also you can see PYID, the same property is displayed. So like that, Pega is maintaining a lot of information for processing purpose. So all the PX, PY, PZ properties are Pega properties. Anyway, we don't bother about those things. Now you need to see our properties. So parent category is there, product ID is there. So I created those properties in the climb work layer. Climb work layer, that is where those properties are coming, but values are not coming, empty. So when I click the page name, in the right hand side, this page will be displayed. So here you can see property value page. This is called property and this is called value, property value page. And then wherever the data is there, you can see the data. If it is empty, you can see the empty here. Why this is empty? Because we didn't select it here. Let's select one value here, electronics and appliances and appliances. So why this is important here is now refresh it once again. This will go to refresh and you can see parent category is coming EA and subcategory will be there somewhere else. You can see APPL. Let's assume, so I'm building the logic like such a way that, so here I'm changing the electronics and appliances. Here I'm passing this parameter here. Now even after writing the logic, but it's not working. So what is the first step you need to do? First you need to verify whether this value is correctly setting in the memory or not. So if the value is setting, the next you need to think is whether this rule is configured or not. So that is the debugging ways. So because here when I select motors, here I am getting correct values, so there is no issue. But let's assume it is not behaving as expected. So it is again displaying all the categories. There may be two reasons. I will show you that one as well. So let's say in the section I forgot to refresh it. Okay, just remove this action for now. So I I created it, but let's say sometimes people will forget to configure and they will debug it. Let me create the case once again. Climb. Again I need to give so here I am selecting one property, okay, but here, so this is because it is automatically refreshing. So sometimes what happens is when you change the value that when you give the database as a source, it automatically refreshing. So even without refreshing also is working. So that is the now the default that is introduced in 7.1.7 onwards. So even without on change of refresh, without doing that one also, it is refreshing. So there won't be any issue. So for some reason, if this value is not setting, now what happens? All the values will come here. So in that case, what you need to do first, you need to check in the clipboard whether for this property this is value set or not. So 467, go here, the value is, you can see value is not setting in the property, but the value is still passing there. So refresh it. You can see value is not setting, but within the browser it's not setting in the memory. It's not setting in the memory. It will set the memory. It will set the value only in the memory only when you refresh the section. When you refresh the section, then only. If you don't refresh, what happens is it will take it as it is a browser action. So whatever the action you are doing here, this is a browser action. So the browsers, when you do some action on the browser, it won't reflect in them. It won't store somewhere else. So you need to, in the Pega, if you want to store the data on the same page, when you click the submit, automatically data will be stored in the clipboard, in the memory. But in the same screen, if you want to refresh the data, we need to manually refresh it. Then only the data will be stored in the clipboard. If you see the data is not coming in the parent, so because we didn't refresh it, so we selected motor here, but it's not coming here. So that means that somewhere else you are missing the configuration. That is how we need to configure it. So somewhere else, if you want to see the data in the memory, so you can go to clipboard and check the parent category is there or not. It's not coming. So you need to go to corresponding category and see the UI whether any configuration is missing. That is one way. So for initial debugging purpose only, we will use the clipboard because you can see the actual value here. And then let's say you can expand this one and you can see some more pages are called. These pages are called embedded pages. These pages are called embedded pages. You can see address details and customer. So these are not the scalar properties. So because all these are scalar properties, that is why on the top level these values are shown, but these are the page properties. These are the page properties within the page, again within the climb class. That is why those are shown as a separate pages within the work page. So those pages are called embedded pages. Those pages are called, you need to use the terminology. So remember the terminology here. Those pages are called embedded pages. So we are embedding address details and customer details and educational info in the PY work page. So you can see the address details. So this is if you remember, I have given this name. So if you see, if you expand this one, I have created a page property or page list property in the work climb class. So you can see customer, educational info, and address is not there. Address is there in the top, but because this is I can inherit this address details from here because this is the parent class for me. So I have all the three properties: address details, customer, educational info. We can show those three properties here: address details, customer, educational info. So this is part of, again, these are the page level properties. That is why, but this is part of, again, work object. That is why these are called embedded pages. And if you want to see the data in that page, again click on that page name. You can see the data again. Whatever the data I have given in the first screen, those data is coming. If data is not storing here, so you need to think like, let's say I'm doing some, not only this checking, well, let's say I'm doing some logic. So I'm taking customer first name and last name, and I want to calculate the full name. So if I want to calculate the full name, the data should be available on the clipboard first. I need to concatenate first name and last name. If I want to concatenate, the data should be available on the clipboard. Let's say for some reason the full name is not being calculated. So what is the first thing you need to do? But first you need to check whether the first name and last name is being populated in the clipboard or not. If it is being populated, then it's the issue with the logic. But if it is not being populated, it's the issue with the somewhere in the UI configuration. So like that we will analyze the issue, and we need to, for the first thing, you need to start anybody, if any issue happens, if anything is behaving as, is not behaving as per expected, first thing you need to do, we need to start with debugging with clipboard. First you need to check the data in the clipboard. If everything is fine, if you are not able to find the issue in the clipboard, then only you can go for the tracer. Tracer is a second level debugging tool that we will discuss in further advanced lessons. And you can see customer data also, you can see first name, last name, whatever the data I have given, you can see here. Okay, that's how you can verify the data, and this is called, this clipboard will be useful for the initial debugging purpose only. So any doubts in the clipboard? That is about user pages. Now, if collapse it, you can see some pages.
Super, sorry to interrupt you. For each case ID, these 4 categories of pages will be created in the clipboard?
Yes, for each thread, 4 categories will be there. For each and every thread.
For each, that means for each work object or case instance,
yes,
right?
Yeah, work object.
What about that collect product info, those objects?
These are the rule names. Rule names also system internally, because for in the system perspective, this is also
the data from the particular rule name,
data.
Yeah, if you click on that rules, are we able to see the data? What data populated for those?
Yeah, this rule name. This is for rule configuration, so we don't need to bother about this. Is I opened this rule, right? Whatever the rules I opened here, those also will be shown here.
Okay.
Those rules, correct information. You can see whatever the rules. Open the rules, they can see here. So every
and here, and one more question in the front end. So we filter the data using the parameterization, right?
Correct. Here.
Yeah. So when you pass the parent category, then subcategories are passing, which is relevant to the parent category.
Correct.
So that is, so the filtering will work based upon the parameters.
Correct. This is from the parameters. So in the database concept, I will discuss that one.
And you added the event and action, right, to refresh the page when you change the values in the drop down.
Correct.
So that one will get refreshed the page, or else only that particular block will get refreshed and populated the values from the backend.
Only this part will be refreshed. We have, in the screen you have a lot of other stuff is there. So when I click section refresh, only this part will be refreshed. It won't refresh entire screen.
Okay.
So we are that is why we are making like refresh this section. So this is the section. This is the section. This is called section, right? I am saying refresh this section only. This section means only this part.
Okay.
Okay. And now we have some more categories here like data pages. So data pages, again you can see some categories. I mean, some we could call them scopes. So you'll get to know what are the scope in soon. So let's say here, let's assume we have different these are subcategories kind of thing. Here we call them scopes. So while defining the data pages, we'll give the scope here. Okay, wherever you define the scope, so when the database is executed in the corresponding scope, you can see the data pages. So let's go for corresponding C467 and go to data pages. So the database is already executed. You can see D underscore product details list is coming. D underscore product category list is also coming. Parent list is also coming. You can see here. See, a list is coming. So as the name indicates, data pages. So whatever the data pages are executed as part of this work object, those will be shown here. And you can see based on the, based on the definition you made in the scope, based on that it will go into corresponding category. If you define the thread level, you can see here. If you define a request level, you can see here. If you define a, and you can see some other things, those are for again for processing purpose. These are not related to our case. This is for entire application. So node level means this is also something. So we have different meaning for thread requester node. So we'll get to know about this in detail in the database concept. But you can see data. But the thing is, if you want to see the data pages that are executed as part of the work object, you can see in the database category corresponding to the scope. You can verify. You can expand that. And this, as you can see, we define the thread level. So that is why it's coming here. Parent category list. So product category list, product details you can see here. Okay. And then linked property page, again in the Pega we can create some linked is kind of linked property, as a name indicate linked property pages. So if you want to open the work object, so we have a concept of linked property that I will show you anyway later, but this is somewhat advanced. So we have a property type as a linked, property type as a linked. So whichever the property is linked property, so linked property is nothing but just a property which point to some other work object. It's a point to some other work object. So if you define any such properties, those property pages will be shown here. So but in this application we don't have anything, it's not showing anything here. And this is system pages. This is called system level data. Like it's not for work object. This will be common for all the work objects. So what is the access group? This is for system level. If you want to see system information, you can see in the system page. Like what is the access group? What is the access group information? You can see when you expand it, you can see a lot of information again. Like what is the application? What is the operator details? Like first name, last name, lot of details will be there for operator. Expand it, you can see a lot of information again. So whatever information you define in the operator form, right? Those things you can see. PY scales, address, contact functions, everything will be seen here. Work baskets, unavailable from, everything is there. And then what is the organization division, and then process. What is the processes we are using? What is the request? What is the session we are using? That will be seen here in the requester. What is the thread? So this is thread information. What is the thread name? For which purpose we are using? What is the URL we are using? So this is called internally system is maintaining some lot of information. So those things you can see in the system pages. But we don't need to worry about these things. This will be common, but only case data will be stored in this PY work page. This thing you need to remember, and then you need to see the data pages. And rest of the things are do not bother about while processing the work object.
Subhash, PY work page and case instance ID work object work item all are equal.
Pardon, I didn't get your question.
PY work page.
Okay.
Case instance ID and work object work item, all terminologies are equal to PY work page.
Yes, PY work page is a clipboard page name. It's not like terminology, it's a clipboard page name. It won't change. The clipboard page name won't change. So some people will use case ID, work item ID, or work object ID. These are the terminologies. Case, work object, work item. All means the same. If anybody, I mean, some people, if people are coming from the world background like Pega 6 and Pega 5, so they already they are habituated to use the work object or work item. So at the time the case is not there. So they may use like a work object work item terminology.
Okay, that means PY work page is part of the work object or case instance.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, fine. It's similar to other data pages, thread, whatever.
Yes.
Okay, fine.
So that is about clipboard. Now we need to discuss about data pages. So we have seen the example, but we need to see what is the definition, what is in and out of data pages. In Pega, we have two types of data pages. One is lookup. Again, here people will use different terminology. Even Pega also using different terminology. In different versions, they're naming it to different ways, but we'll use single instance. So lookup, single instance, all means the same. Data page and list data page. This is common. This is there. This name is they are not changing. List data page.
Okay.
So every data page, when you create every data page, will start with d underscore or declare underscore. So why we are using two conventions? So here the convention is single only, but again this is for, if you see declare underscore, that means that those are coming from the older version. If you see d underscore, that means this is created in new version, Pega 7. In Pega 7 onwards, in Pega 7, people, I mean, they renamed, I mean, both are same. So data pages, if it is declare underscore or d underscore, both are same. In Pega 5 and Pega 6 version database, if you are using, you can see declare underscore. If you create new version, I mean, in Pega 7, if you create it, those things will start with the d underscore. All means the same. Okay, if you see in the clipboard, you can see them as well. Sometimes you can see data pages. For some, you can see here declare is there. For here d and d is there. Okay, that means that this is created. This is reusing. I mean, the same name we are. I mean, that means that we are using the same rule from older version. You can see d underscore somewhere else. You can see declare underscore as well. You can see declare is there. But most of the things are renamed to d underscore, but still some names are there. So don't confuse if you see anything like declare underscore. Declare is also called data page only. In Pega 5 and Pega 6 versions, people, when you create a rule, you start with declare underscore. From Pega 7 onwards, when you create a data page rule, starts with d underscore. Okay, both are refers to same data page only. Now, then what is the main use of this one? So database is mainly useful to store the data. It's not like anything else it can do, just store the data. So we call them data pages. So there are different terms again. Data pages or declarative pages. So don't confuse this name as well. So if you are working on older versions, they will use this terminology, declare pages. So in Pega 7, we are naming it data pages. In older version, we name it the declare pages. Okay, both means the same. That is why declare is underscore is there here for older versions. Data d underscore is there for new versions.
But right now, 7 onwards, are we using d underscore?
Yes, from 7 onwards we are using d underscore. From 7.1 onwards, in any version we are using d underscore only.
Okay.
So the main data pages will be useful to store the data that system needs to populate work item or work object. Again, I am using different terminology just to make it comfortable with all the terminology. Work item properties. So I have some properties in the work item. Like I have product ID, I have parent category, I have something. Those are the properties in the work item, right? Those are properties in the work item. Now I want to populate the data for that. So for populating purpose, I need to store the data. So we are using the database to store the data that needs, the data is needful for the work item properties. So So database main purpose of the data is just to store the data. But what then if it is just to store the data, I mean it's not like that much is useful, right? We can use some other rules, lot of other rules are there to store the data. But here we have a concept of we can define that like we can get the data, so that source can be database. We are saying to store the data, but where the data is coming. So data can be data pages. We'll use database going forward. Obtain the data from external source. Means using some, it may be Java system, it may be database, it may be some other SOAP service, it may be anything, it may be any external service. You can get the data from the external service and store it, or else within the Pega you can get the data from the report definition, or else you can get the data from data transform. It's again a rule. Everything is a rule here. Whatever you can see is a rule. So external source, it can be anything. It's also all the sub different rules are there. The report definition is your rule and data transform is your rule. So it will get the data from some other source. That means that database is not fetching any data directly. So we are giving some source to get the data and it's just holding the data. It's not doing anything. Now, what is the difference between this lookup data page and list data page? Lookup data page and in a single instance data page, as the name indicates, will be useful to fetch a single record. That is why we call them single instance. Single record, single instance. Single record means I have list of products, right? I have list of products. I want out of all the products, I want to display only one product information. One product information. Then what you need to do? I don't need all the product information. I just need one product information. So in that case, you can go for lookup data page. So for lookup data page, expect the key value as a parameter. Key value means, so I have 100 products. Out of 100 products, if I want to identify one product, how can I identify? I need to provide some unique key value or some key value I need to provide. So that is why lookup instance or lookup database or like single instance database is will expect the key value to retrieve that corresponding record. So list database, the name indicates, to retrieve all the database, all the records, we will go for list database. That is straightforward definition. But here we don't need any parameters, because we don't require any keys, because we are retrieving all the data. Then why do we need keys? If we have a lot of records and if I want to identify a single record, out of that single record, then I need a key. So that based on the key, I will get that particular record. But in the list database, we don't require any parameters. System won't create any parameters by default. So if you want, for your business purpose, for your logical purpose or calculation purpose, you can create it, however we create it. So we are creating parameters for our convenience. System did not create it anything. But single is for lookup data pages, system will create the parameters. If you create the local storage. But if you create the manual, if you create the database manually, system won't create any parameters. You need to create it. Okay. Now we'll see what are the different options here in the lookup on data. I will open both. Product is a. So how can I say? So by seeing the name, so even the naming convention also will be like that. We need to follow the naming convention. For the list database, you need to give the word list. For lookup database, you should not give the word list. But naming you can give. As that is user interest. If you don't give the naming, but how can you differentiate which is a lookup database and which is a list database? I have two databases. I am saying. How can you differentiate it? So we need to. So those differentiation we can done based on the, if the naming is not proper in general, that is the recommendation. So because that is useful for the, if you don't name like that, what happens? I have a lot of databases, then I need to open the rule. I need to check that whether it's a lookup database or a list database. If you given the name like that, so I need to open. I don't need to open the rule. I can just verify the rule in the wherever I am configuring. That is why the naming itself, if it is a lookup database, you just need to mention like product details, something like that. If it is a list database, you need to add the word like list somewhere else in the naming of the list of products or list product details, there's anything. You need to mention like list word the list database. That is the naming convention standard you need to follow. But let's say because some users may not give, it's not like system won't stop you if you don't give the name list. That is for our convenience, for our easiness to identify the rules we are giving. So in that case, you need to open the database definition and you can see the structure. The structure will differentiate between the lookup database and listed database. For lookup database, this is a lookup database, the structure will be page. For this one, for the list database, the structure will be list. So you can see only two options will be there. The structure is a page, that is if you want to create a lookup database, you need to make, if you want to manually creating any data pages, you need to remember these definition, these configurations. So if you want to create a lookup data page, you need to select the page. If you want to select if you want to create a list data page, you select the list. That is how we can, the system determines which is a lookup data page and list data page. So I am saying is retrieving single record or multiple records. What type of records you are storing? So database is mainly useful for storing purpose, right? So what type of data you are storing? So this particular database is storing the data product information. Data, whatever the instances of this one, I am storing this information. This is name as same thing like page. We discussed like a page list, right? This is same as listing. When you give the page list, you are giving the class name, what type of object it is. So here also same thing. When you are saving list of records, list of objects, so what type of object it is, what type of instance it is, what type of records it is. You need to mention the object type. What type of records those are, and what is the mode. So what is the mode of this database? Do you want to read it for read-only purpose? 99% of the times databases are useful for the read-only purpose because it's just storing the data. But sometimes once you store the data, sometimes in very rare scenarios you can also make them editable. You can also make them editable. But the disadvantage here is because you are getting the data from some other source, and if you modify the data, in the database, it won't get stored in the source. Let's say in the actual source I have one value as 1, 2, 3, and in the database you change it to 4, 5, 6. It won't again go back to source. The source will be same 1, 2, 3. When in the database you can see 4, 5, 6. Okay, and if you want to save the data into database again, you need to build the logic to save the data back into database. So when you make it editable, it doesn't mean that if you edit the data, it will automatically store the data. So people will actually have an assumption like system will, when you make it editable, when you do something, submit something, it automatically will store the data. It won't like that. Editable means this is just for storing purpose. It's not doing anything. You are editable on top of the stored data. That means that you are just editing on your purpose for your convenience, but the source is not changed. So you need to, if you want to change the source, again you need to build the logic in the background to save the data into database. That is the point you need to remember. So in interviews also will ask questions like this. So the interviews on this part, the questions will be very high, like what is the lifetime of the database? What is the lifetime of the database? What is the what are the different types of database we have? So these questions they may ask. So when someone asks what is the life of the database, you need to remember the scope. So the life of the database will be determined based on the scope. If you select the thread scope, the meaning of the thread scope is this database will be maintained for each and every work object. This database will be maintained for each and every. That means that you need to remember this is very important, and most of the interviews definitely this question will be there. Thread will maintain separate copy of data page for each and every work object. So I'm using one terminology, but all means work item, work object case, wherever I use, all means the same. So that is why I'm in different places I'm using different terminology just to make it habituated. So thread indicates that for each work object, a separate copy of the database will be maintained. What does it mean? So let's say, so this is a thread. So this is my this is a product list. I'm creating one work object. This is work object, right? This is climb 467. 468 is one work object. Let me open one more thing. 468.9 is one work object. Now let's go to next page. So here I'm copying the pages for 469. For 468 also I am calling some data pages. That means that separate copy will be maintained here for 468 and separate copy will be maintained for 469. Those are two separate copies. One copy will not be maintained. Means that the memory will be different. When I say copy means you are using separate memory is allocated for each work object when you make a thread level data page. When you make a thread level data page, a separate copy will be maintained. That implies that you are allocating, system is allocating a separate memory for each one. So for 469, a thread level you can see here. For 466, you can see separate. Again the clipboard you can see. You can see that. So the lifetime of the database will be same thing because we are maintaining the database at the work object level. When you close the work object, the life of the database will be closed. That's it. So because we are maintaining separate copy for each work object, if you close the work object means the database also will be closed. The life is terminated for the database. What is called thread level. A separate copy will be maintained for each and every work object. When you close the work object, the database will be closed. That is the life of the database for the thread level scope. If you maintain a requester level, that means that a separate copy will be maintained for the user, for requester. So not like work object. So separate copy will be maintained for requester. There we are saying per work object. We are saying per requester. Who is the requester? The requester here. Just say I mean just to make you more clear. Request nothing but a user can say. So here I am the user. As a user, I can create any number of work objects, but only single copy will be maintained. That means that a memory will be properly utilized. If the data is reusable, so when do you go for requester, when do you go for scope, when do you go for some other scope, is depends on the nature of the data. If the data is same and if data is volatile, frequently changing, the data is frequently changing, then you can go for thread level, because for each work object there is a chance of changing the data. You need to go for that. If there is no chance of data, let's say you are working in a supermarket. In supermarket, every day it won't change. I mean every day, I mean within for every hour the rates won't change, right? So you can go for requester level. For that day, for all the requesters, same data will be used. That means that so instead of maintaining separate copies for each and every work object, per user you are maintaining one copy. That means that you are using, I mean you are maintaining, instead of maintaining multiple copies, you are maintaining only one copy. So that means that you are properly utilizing the memory. So that depends on the nature of the data. If the data nature is somewhat static, it won't change very frequently. You can go for requester level scope. On the life of this database here, when you log off, when the user or requester logs off, database will be terminated. The node level, you can compare like thread request nothing but collection of threads, because one request can get any number of threads. Node level, node is separate copy, only one copy will be maintained, one copy of database. When I say copy means one copy of database only will be maintained for server level, server or JVM level. Okay, separate copy will be maintained per server or JVM level. So that means that per server I am running in local JVM server, right? So that means that for entire server one copy will be made. That means that all the requesters can reuse the same data. So here also same thing. When I maintain the data in the request level, that means that all the threads share the same data. All the threads, whatever the threads I am creating, will use the data from the same requester. If I create a database at node level, all the requesters and all the threads will use the same data from that copy. But here the data is static, a pure static, then only you can go for node level. Let's say you are storing you want to display some states and countries for some application. The state and countries won't change very frequently. I can say it's a pure static only. In those kind of data, when you are fetching those kind of data, you can set the scope as node level. So in that case, what happens? One copy will be maintained. That one copy will be shared across all the requesters. From the request, all the threads will be shared. So same one copy of data will be there. You are maintaining one copy only, and all the connections will go to same same thing. So here the life of the database is when you log off, when not log off, when you when the server is down, when the server or JVM are restarted, then only database will be terminated. These are the scopes. So we're already running out of time. Just discuss the remaining things tomorrow. Okay. So any doubts so far here?
No, Subhash.
Yeah. So we'll discuss databases tomorrow and continue the same topic. Okay. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Snehal and Siva, I'm just ending the meeting. Please rejoin again so that we'll continue.
Okay, Subhash.